What is good, YouTube? Warstu here with a video on the future of the DCU. Talking about the Batman, because all of a sudden now James Gunn's allowed to say stuff, although he doesn't really say anything. Also, the Supergirl trailer is allegedly coming at the end of this week. Also, we've got to talk about the sale of Warner Bros. Discovery, because even the trades, such as Forbes, have absolutely no idea what they're on about. Because when you're a trade, when you're actually a trade website, you cannot use words like, I think. You're supposed to be factual. You're supposed to be the headspace for studios. Even they don't know what's going to go on. And we're going to talk about the SnyderVerse, Zack Snyder stuff, because he is still teasing stuff. Or is he? We don't know, but we do know the SnyderVerse engagement. Every website is now using the SnyderVerse for clickbait. But no one cares, apparently. So, yo. What is good, YouTube? Voice you here. If you are new around here, make sure to subscribe to never miss any of the Marvel, DC, Casual, MonsterVerse, pop culture-based content I try to deliver on a daily basis. Could subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, and let me know, who do you actually want to buy Warner Bros. Discovery? Because it doesn't really seem like there's a good option. People despise Netflix, but then Paramount, if they got it, would control CNN and CBS. I mean, it doesn't really look like there's a good option apart from Amazon or Apple, to be honest, because now apparently if Netflix win, they're not going to restore the SnyderVerse. No one actually ever said that. It's looking like Zaslav wants a cash deal. And now Zaslav's kind of warming up to the fact that maybe he wants to sell to Netflix. Zaslav just wants to sell to whoever's got the most money. And people still think the Saudis aren't involved. I don't believe that. So let's break down today's video. So it is actually interesting that we have trades such as Forbes coming out with theories. Because realistically, I've said this all along. I want all the DC content. I want the SnyderVerse. I want to see Justice League 2. I want to see Justice League 3. I want to see a Batfleck series or movie with Joe Manganiello Deathstroke. I want it all. I want to see whatever James Gunn's doing with the DCU, although he has shifted away from Gods of Monsters to this Superman PG saga, right? So Forbes put out an article where they're speaking absolute smack, in my opinion. Because as we know, whatever's happening, right, even if the new owners come in and want to change whatever James Gunn and Pete Safran are doing, whatever's in play now is not going to change. So there won't be any new projects until at least releasing until 2028. So yes, Supergirl will be coming out. Yes, The Batman Part 2 is coming out. Yes, Man of Tomorrow is coming out. Yes, Clayface is coming out. Yes, The Lantern's coming out later this year. So on and so forth. No one ever said these projects would change. Then you get Forbes coming out with an absolute fluff piece. Any changes a buyer wanted to implement would likely fall within a narrow range. But I think primarily the DCU plans will remain as it is. I think. Why is a trade using words like I think? Gunn's Superman is the most popular superhero film of 2025. No, it's not. There's a movie called Demon Slayer. Anime comes under superheroes because manga is technically a comic book. So actually, Forbes, your trade, you're acting like a little website. Get your facts right. With the box office result at least 40% higher than the previous 9 DCU movies from the past 8 years, it beat all Marvel Studio releases this year. It didn't last year. Superman also earned universal critic acclaim. High scores don't mean much. So it's interesting, right? It did all this, right? But if you go back to, you know, actual Zack's plan, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Man of Steel, so on and so forth, Batman vs. Superman, did not come close to them, did it? No, you're listing a bunch of projects that had nothing to do with Zack, because Zack left in 2017, came back to release his version. The film would generate significantly more than 100 million in profit. Okay, that's not been proved. It's either 100 million or it's like nothing. Interesting. Whoever buys Warner Bros. Discovery or WWE split should keep James Gunn and Pete Safran as the co-heads at DC Studios and let them continue to implement their plans and build upon the DCU. Maybe, who knows? But it is suspicious that both their contracts run out at the end of next year and there's been no leaks, no rumors of their contracts being renewed. So recently, the cinematographer for Batman vs. Superman, never say never when asked about the SnyderVerse returning. Never say never. And then we have Zachary Snyder posting this. it's the perfect night to watch the black and white cut of Zack Snyder's Justice League on HBO Max. Justice is grey, turn the lights down, turn volume up. So he's promoting HBO Max. Still, are they working with him? Who knows? And Zack's been teasing a lot of stuff, posting a lot of stuff. And yeah, sure, he posted Sophia from Rebel Moon as well. And he does post a lot of stuff. We got an image of Henry Cavill's Superman and Lois Lane looking, well, they're the best version in my opinion. And obviously, we've also had that Affleck shot, which looks absolutely insane. Is Zack Snyder just trolling people? We don't actually know. But it's very interesting how all these hit pieces and articles keep coming out. Netflix buying Warner Bros. Discovery would be the worst case scenario, says DC Insider. Netflix might shift major franchises like DC along with New Line's successful horror titles directly to streaming. No one's actually said that. But the bidding war for Warner Bros. Discovery has forced many to consider a future in which the company is controlled of one of the primary theatrical studios in Hollywood history. Netflix would be the worst case scenario for me, one exec from a regional theater chain told the Wrap about the Prospect W buy-in. Positioning the streaming could re-regulate everything from DC films to New Line straight to streaming. And now Netflix are the bad guys, then Paramount are the bad guys. Everyone's the bad guy. Fact is, they've got to be sold because it's not profitable. Obviously, it's making money, but it's in such a huge calorie deficit, as in it's not making money, that it's got to go to someone. But who it goes to, we don't know. Even the DC stans are coming out saying, yo, it's not good if it goes to Paramount, but David Zaslav wants a cash deal. And for the just to be the studio streaming stuff, I was watching CBS and they suggested that Zaslav's warming up to the idea. And then discussing films, put a post up. Netflix new bid to buy Warner Bros. Is mostly a cash deal. The company is arranging a mega loan to buy Warner Bros. So from a kind of constant revenue source, Netflix has 300 million plus users paying an average of, say, £10. A lot of money. Of course, Zaslav would also have to commit to prolonged regulatory fight with the government and potential shareholders and lawsuits. Yeah, I mean, the problem is whoever buys Warner Bros. Is going to have to go through, regulators, FTC, just like Microsoft when they bought Activision Blizzard. That was never going to go through, but somehow it will go through. So whoever buys it, they can do whatever they want with it, realistically. As we know, Supergirl is coming out very soon. James Gunn redacted something about the budget being $200 million. The interesting thing is, when they do their tax returns in the UK to get the tax rebate, which Deadpool and Wolverine got a huge one, is we're going to find out what the actual budget is. So Forbes, we can't trust trades anymore. We literally cannot trust trades. But saying that, James Gunn debunked a lot of stuff. He said Ultraman wasn't in the movie. James Gunn actually technically was mistruthful about so much in the Superman movie. When he debunks something, I can't take him serious. So, a new Forbes article said that Millie Alcock's movie has a budget of $200 million, which, according to this article here, said the break-even point would be 500. No, it would have been closer to 600 because you got to add marketing. But I don't believe it would be that high because it's a lesser-known character. The problem, it appears, is that Forbes lets almost anyone write for this site. And a lot of their reporting is based upon opinion dressed up as industry experts. Okay, I'm reading this from cosmicbooknews.com. You could say that about literally any website. As we know, Forbes basically also said the same thing about, I think the DCU will continue, but no actual narrative of it continuing. It's interesting how James Gunn comes out and says, not even a little bit true. The budget is going to be over $120 million. Regardless to what Mr. James Gunn says, the budget, it won't be far off $200 million. Let's be honest. And yes, James Gunn's got to act as a studio head, and the trailer is looking like it's coming out later this week. And I can't wait for Supergirl. It's going to be freaking cool. Supergirl's such a badass. I was a big fan of the Mr. Benoist one on CBS that went over to CW. Supergirl's a cool character. The only problem here is no one actually cares for Supergirl. That is the biggest problem we've got here. No one cares. And chucking David, Superman in it, and Crypto is going to save much either. So James Gunn recently came out and said something that I think is fabricated. He says the most requested thing would be the blue and grey, then the yellow around the bat, and then the white eyes. But all of those things I find less important than the character himself, the writer, and the person. plays him. Individuals are making clear what they want to see, but even the most requested thing, the blue and grey, is split evenly with people who don't want that. And the other two most requested things are also things, just as many people say, they don't want to see. So you have to do what's right by the Pacific film and story. It's interesting how Andy Muschietti, the apparent director of this movie, is not allowed to speak about it, but James Gunn randomly comes out and starts talking. No one's talking about the suit. Literally no one's talking about the suit. I find all information about projects after Man of Tomorrow interesting because there's little to no information out there about anything. Like, what is actually stopping them from going into production for The Batman, Brave and Bold? Oh, because it's going to conflict with The Batman 2 when it's a complete different universe. James Gunn and DC Studios act like the audiences are stupid. I really don't understand why they act like that. Now, we know The Batman Part 2 is now actively in the casting process because obviously it's going into pre-production very soon. It do exterior shots in January and shooting in the spring. So extras are being cast for major feature film shooting in Glasgow, spring 2026. Okay, essentially that is The Batman Part 2. But why are you not allowed to talk about and start doing stuff with The Batman? Because realistically, if you want whoever to come in to buy DC and Warner Bros., the biggest IP would be actually to talk about the Batman in the DCU. If you want to make the DC Studios worth more money, start giving the audience what they want. Sure, we've got a Superman movie, but is it a Superman movie? We don't know. It's an interesting one because I read the comments and people are like, you are a Zack Snyder fanboy. You want the SnyderVerse to be restored. Yeah, sure, I want the SnyderVerse to be restored. But I repeatedly keep saying I want the DCU to stick around as well because that would be more interesting. There's a multiverse. There's a multiverse in every, like in Marvel. There's multiverse freaking everywhere. Multiverse concept isn't even new. It's been done in animation for years. So I don't understand how DC Studios can't get their head around, oh, we could have two Batmans at the same time. We really could. It's not even that hard. And I do get the criticism that I get on these videos, but I'm just giving you updates about, oh, the SnyderVerse, will it be restored? Who knows? But the trades don't know anything to say, I think the DCU will continue because Superman was successful. That's called an opinion piece via a trade, and trade should be more factual rather than just giving an opinion piece. I find all this stuff interesting. I'm looking forward to, obviously, the Lanterns. Looks pretty cool. Looks like it's going to be serious. Different tone to Superman, not happy-go-lucky. Looking forward to Supergirl, which is going to be darker and grittier at the same time, it looks like. And obviously the Batman Part 2, which has nothing to do with James Gunn. Obviously, DC Studios, is a studio that publishes it, but it's not really his project, is it? I'm just looking forward to all it, lads. So this is an update on all the DC stuff that I could find. Is the SnyderVerse going to be restored? Probably not, but there will be changes when the new owners come in. So if whatever James Gunn's kind of projects don't work out, being Man of Tomorrow, Clayface, Supergirl, if they don't do all financially well, doesn't really matter about critic scores, they don't make money, then the new owners will be like, yo, I think we're going to have to dip away from this. So, like always, guys, check it out on Instagram at Warstu, check it out on Twitter, Warstu, and I'll catch you in another video, guys, very soon. Catch ya later!